Hey, you got a minute? So, yeah, I'm sure you can understand our need to cut corners around here.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Times are tight. You gotta free up some cash. You gotta spend money to make money, right?
Exactly. That's why we're having everyone write out a job description mapping out in detail how they contribute. That way management can assess who's valuable
And who's expendable.
BlizzCon makes an oopsie. Diablo Immortal, big oopsie. But the biggest oopsie is HOTS and no more esports.
Not really. I mean, like, clearly Diablo Immortal.
All this and more on T-Series News.
Today, it's all about the Battle Royale, where 1 billion games enter and only one game leaves.
Purpose that created us. Purpose that connects us. Purpose that pulls us, that guides us, that drives us. It is purpose that defines. Purpose that binds us. We are here because of you.
But before Battle Royale,
It was the land of the MOBAs.
it was the land of the moments.
It really
Actually,
was.
but that's a lie. It was the team shooter for a while.
Oh, yes.
And then before the
Team
team
Fortress
shooter
2 kind of thing.
correct.
And then, yeah, of
and
course.
Overwatch
Yeah,
and Paladins and Lawbreakers. of
Lawbreakers,
course.
sorry, how can we forget that?
Lawbreakers?
Jesus.
Before that, though, it was MOBAs. They were the hot things. The, what do they call it? Multiplayer Online Battle Arena.
Yes, right,
That's
yes.
right. The dumbest acronym ever, can I just say?
MOBA sounds
Multiplayer
cool, though.
Online Battle Arena. What
But
the
it was
fuck?
saved by the MOBA. It sounds cool enough.
does sound
so
cool.
it stood the test of time.
MOBAs began with, Dota and League of Legends, and
Yep.
they all went completely crazy.
And some
gangbusters.
Marvel one came out and shit, and just there was MOBAs everywhere.
There was
for God's
an
sakes.
EA one for a time called Dawngate that eventually
Really?
got canned.
Oh, I didn't
yeah, it
know.
didn't even make it out of development. They were just
Yeah.
like, and I actually played it. It wasn't so bad either. There was a whole bunch, right? And at that point, Blizzard decided this is a train we need to jump on.
Totally.
And they announced Heroes of the Storm, or HOTS.
HOTS, and it was very hot.
It was so hot right now.
So hot right now.
HOTS had a very mixed reception. I feel like Blizzard looked at the MOBA market and said, we need to develop a MOBA that Ralph Wiggum could play.
Totally.
Hi, Lisa. Hi, Super Nintendo Chalmers. Meow.
And this is classic Blizzard, and I mean this in a good way.
Yeah, we're
right?
not saying that in a bad way. We're just saying, like, yeah, they wanted to make a very casual
Correct.
approach to MOBAs. And they've done it before with other games, of
Yeah.
course. They look at something that's popular and they make it more accessible. Now,
Correct.
a lot of times that's worked. It's totally worked.
Yeah, and accessibility doesn't mean casual, by the way. Like, they took, for example, the MMORPG genre, and they're like, cool, EverQuest, great idea, and all these other games, and, Ultima and Dark Age of Camelot or whatever, great. Let's make it so that more people want to play
Totally.
that. So they make it more streamlined, more accessible, but there's still lots of hardcore elements to it,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
That's the beauty of Blizzard's formula. They take things, like, for example, trading card games with Hearthstone. They're like, this is really cool, but it's inaccessible. How do we make it accessible?
Yeah.
This is their formula. They've done it many times, and they try to do it with HOTS.
MOBAs are one of those genres, I think, that you can't really have a spectrum. You can't have, like, super casual can jump in at the same time super hardcore. Like, it has to be... a lot of players that play MOBAs, they don't want it to be casual, man. Like, they want it to be fucking hardcore. They want it to be difficult. The moment you take away individualism, the moment you take, the moment you implement a casual approach into a game that's like hardcore in its nature, you mess with the fundamentals of that, and like
Correct.
it's not the same thing.
But HOTS was basically the communism
Yes.
of MOBAs, okay? Because everyone had
Totally.
shared experience. There
Yes.
was no items. It was basically like
work together.
exactly. Everyone was on the one team, and they all shared experience. So everyone had to suck together. Okay, right? So for the MOBA fans, that didn't really work because playing a MOBA is very much about individual skill and carrying and giant moments and all that sort of shit. And HOTS really limited that. Now look, I'm partly exaggerating here. I had a little.
Laymen never exaggerate.
I had a little bit of fun with HOTS. Like, it was fun, don't get me wrong, but I didn't really ever enjoy it. I know a lot of people feel the same way, right? And I think en masse, clearly, most people felt the same way because today's announcement about the future of HOTS really indicates that this game has not found the audience that it sought, and now Blizzard are looking to sort of deprioritize the title in the long term. Today, Blizzard's two head honchos came out and offered some information on the future of HOTS. They said this: "We've made the difficult decision to shift some developers from Heroes of the Storm to other teams, and we're excited to see the passion, knowledge, and experience that they'll bring to those projects. This isn't the first time we've had to make tough choices like this. Games like Diablo 2, World of Warcraft, StarCraft 2, Overwatch, and more would not exist had we not made similar decisions in the past. Despite the change, Heroes of the Storm remains our love letter to Blizzard's worlds and characters. We continue to actively support the game with new heroes, themed events, and other content that our community loves, though the cadence will change. Ultimately, we're setting up the game for long-term sustainability. We're so grateful for the support the community has shown from the beginning, and the development team will continue to support Heroes of the Storm with the same passion, dedication, and creativity that has made this game such a unique experience. So, well, reading between the lines there, they're saying they're pulling people off this game and they're going to put them to work somewhere else, and we're going to see fewer updates. That's what they mean when they say the cadence will change, okay? I would definitely read between the lines in that and say we're putting this game out to pasture.
Totally. This is interesting because a lot of people in the community that play HOTS will be like, that really sucks. But I'm sure a lot of people are going to understand that a company, when a game is not overly successful, they need to reappropriate those resources into other areas.
Correct.
They
exactly
can't
right.
continue to, work a game that's just clearly not being as successful as they want.
Yeah, and just to be super clear, it's not like this game is going to die. We're not saying that this game is finished. When I say put it out to pasture, it sort of basically means, there are lots of games that survive with smaller development teams and fewer updates, and they just sort of keep them alive. Something like The Old Republic from BioWare, their MMORPG, is probably a good example, where they had really big dreams for what that title would be, didn't work out, and they've still managed to continue to update it and keep it alive, but that game is not thriving. No way. It's there, they're keeping it alive, that's all it is. It feels like this is where they're going to go with HOTS, and as Sam said, it feels like if a game isn't successful, this is what you should do with it. You shouldn't be aiming to keep propping it up and making it huge. You need to be a smart business and say, well, if we're not doing well out of that, we need to invest our resources where they can do better.
Totally. And I think that, with this whole recent cost cutting of Activision, I'm sure that plays a role in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, for sure.
It's only recently that Blizzard did come out and say, look, we are seeing some changes. We have to make some changes now based on what Activision is asking of us. Is this a direct result of that?
This is the first major cost-cutting initiative that we've seen from Blizzard after the sort of announcements or the reveal that internally they're facing cost pressure. So that's something to pay attention to, I think, especially in the context of esports. Now, the other thing that they announced within this was this. We've also evaluated our plans around Heroes Esports. After looking at all our priorities and options in light of the change with the game, the Heroes Global Championship and the Heroes of the Dorm will not return in 2019. This was another very difficult decision for us to make. The love that the community has for these programs is deeply felt by everyone who works on them, but we ultimately feel this is the right decision versus moving forward in a way that would not meet the standards that players and fans have come to expect. So this is basically like RIP HOTS Esports.
Yeah.
Now, this makes sense from the perspective of from a cost perspective, because esports cost a lot of money to put on, and it really doesn't make them much money. They just sort of make that money back because players are aware of the game, it's a form of promotion, etc., etc. They'll make the money back from in-game purchases. Totally. But obviously they're not doing that. They're looking at this and thinking, well, we're not getting a return on investment, let's cut this.
The only thing the big problem there, I think, is how sudden the announcement is. Now, they're a business, okay? If they're not making money, of course they need to make changes, okay? If esports is not making them the money or not the return that they want, they need to make changes. Now, it's so sudden though for the esports community, for the people that get their livelihoods from this. They needed to, in my opinion, they need to have given them a bit more time. They need to have let them know, for God's sakes.
I agree with. I've heard this a lot. That Blizzard have sold them out and betrayed them and whatever else.
That's
but I'm like,
betrayed.
But what is the alternative? If people are saying, well, they should have given them more notice. If Blizzard were to say 6 months ago, guys, we're thinking about canning the Pro League. Just FYI. It's like, at that point, all the teams jump ship. All the players jump ship. The whole thing falls apart. I just don't see... I understand it would have been nice if there would be some alternative, but I don't see an alternative. They basically said, guys, this is where we're at, and we're honest about it. If they said 6 months ago, here's what we're thinking about, it would have been a self-fulfilling prophecy. You know what I mean? Like, the game would have lost... the pro scene would have lost steam anyway.
But having said that, I think it's important for Blizzard to at least give them options. So if they come out and say, guys, by the way, thanks a lot for everything. Next year we're not coming back. It's not giving the players and the coaches and the community that, you know, derive an income from that at least some sort of options for the next 12 months. Give them something to maybe slowly transition out of this industry. You know, I understand what you're saying. The moment they come out and say, hey, we're not doing this anymore, a lot of people are initially going to jump ship. But at least it gives them the options and the choices to still stick around for another 12 months while they figure their life out. This sudden announcement, I think, doesn't allow the players and the people that have been part of this community for so many years, doesn't give them any choices. It robs them so quickly of any real
so do you think
ease of change.
But do you think then a company has a responsibility to keep losing money on something like this just to help out those esports players for that year?
Fair enough, but they could
I'm asking a legitimate question.
Okay, let them know a few months before, because this is obviously a question that Blizzard has had, you know, in behind closed doors for months, if not maybe a year or more. Surely they could have let them know, hey guys, you know, in our closed circle, we're thinking of this stuff, just letting you know. This is like the moment the community knew, the same time the esports community knew. I feel like that's a bit wrong, you know? Like, let them know, but at least behind closed doors, that they're thinking of these things. That's the kind of stuff I think that is important.
But at that point, as I said, they'll just jump ship anyway. It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. All those teams would look at it and say, well, game's cooked.
Sure.
So that's
Sure,
it.
but
We got to get out of here, boys, you know?
I understand, but at least it gives them the options to do that. That's what I'm saying.
Fair
That's what I'm
enough.
saying.
I understand that. I mean, I guess I come from the perspective of, you know, Blizzard are a business and they need to make money and they need to be focused on, you know, being sustainable internally.
Sure.
And I wish there was some way that they could sort of just make sure that all the esports pros land better, you know, a softer landing, so to speak. But I just can't see what that would be other than Blizzard just giving them a big cash payout and saying, all right, guys, we're going to help you. I guess that's fair. Maybe they should have done that. Maybe they should have just said, the guys, we're fucking you over here, so here's a bucket of cash to help you ease your transition.
Totally. I mean,
that makes sense to me.
I think there's
honestly, that makes sense to me.
I think there's I think there were other ways, but I think there can be a happy balance between, you know, the company making sure that they're not losing money and at the same time respecting the community and giving them the time that they need to transition.
At the end of the day, I think any esports organization that was deeply invested in this as their future probably wasn't reading the market very well, because clearly this was not a gangbusters giant title that was going to be like, hey man, I'm going to live off this for the next 20 years. This is going to be my thing. Like, if you made those bets, you did not make those bets from a smart place.
Yeah,
you
well,
know?
no game can, you can't really make those judgments on any game. Even Fortnite, who knows where Fortnite's going to be in 2 years? You know what I'm saying?
But then again, there's like stuff like League. You're like, well, there's probably at least a good decade in League.
Sure, but that's a very specific thing.
Of course,
I
of course,
feel.
for sure.
You know, like Overwatch also, huge game, you know, and it's in decline. Where it's going to be in 2 years, who knows? But anyway,
Either way, these are your favorite
Gloria Bolga and T-Series.
Signing out.
No. See you, fam.
Let me serve your bitch lasagna. Bitch lasagna. Bitch lasagna. T-Series ain't nothing but a bitch lasagna. Bitch lasagna. Bitch lasagna. Look at T-Series, they just crying for their mama. Bitch lasagna. Bitch lasagna. T-Series ain't nothing but a